What's up, lore masters? This is the second part, really third part, of the complete analysis of the second battle of Deep Space Nine. In the first video, I discussed the prelude to the war and battle. The second was, of course, the conflict itself, and now we're going to take a look at the tactics utilized by both sides. First, I want to take a moment to discuss the Dominion's decision to attack Deep Space Nine in their attempt to prevent Starfleet from mining the wormhole. It's probably one of the largest tactical mistakes they made at the beginning of the war. We know from future episodes that even with the devastating losses in the second battle of Deep Space Nine and the loss of the shipyards, the Dominion are absolutely dominating the Federation and Klingon fleets. In fact, in the next episode, at which I'll discuss thoroughly, no worries, the Dominion has pushed the Federation all the way back to the Vulcan border. You know, Vulcan, a planet at the core of the Federation and right next to Earth. So imagine if instead of focusing on Deep Space Nine, the Dominion pushed into Federation space. They attacked on all fronts with all of their assets, including those 50 ships that they would have lost in the actual battle. Additionally, since the Dominion are attacking into Federation space and not Bajoran space, Starfleet might not be able to hit the space yards, or if they decided still to do that, would have to let most of the Dominion assets steamroll Federation territory to do so. I understand that trying to secure the wormhole is critical at some point, as it will be where all of the reinforcements come from mainly. But the Gamma Quadrant resources aren't the be-all end-all, given how well the Dominion does before. And we know the Dominion is aware of how powerful they are because they're caught off guard when the shielding actually holds at Deep Space Nine. And dialogue at the second battle of Deep Space Nine shows us the Dominion do know how advantageous their position is. Again, if it wasn't for the ego, for the focus on the Gamma Quadrant, they probably would have won the war. Ultimately, the Dominion always had the winning cards. It would have just been harder with actual real casualties without the infrastructure of the Dominion in the Gamma Quadrant. That said, with this plan in place and knowing that the Dominion were coming, that they were going to strike Deep Space Nine, letting them take Bajor, the Bajoran system, the wormhole, is absolutely ridiculous. It is the dumbest move Starfleet could have made. While I'll admit it's hard to calculate how important those space docks were for the Dominion, we know in later episodes that Deep Space Nine stopping assets from the Gamma Quadrant entering into the Alpha Quadrant is the most critical thing for the Federation to win the war, or at least to have a chance, slim as it may be. Additionally, given how powerful Deep Space Nine turned out to be, a victory here might have actually crippled the Dominion and put them on the defensive at the beginning of the war, which is a great place to be. Just ask the Dominion. We don't know how many ships the Dominion fielded in that battle, but we do know that a single bird of prey, the Defiant and Deep Space Nine, were able to destroy 50 ships. This includes the fact that the Defiant likely didn't fight at all. Imagine if Deep Space Nine had the support of a Sovereign, the Defiant, a few Akuras, and various other smaller ships. Based on what we see happen at the actual battle, it appears that the Dominion would not have been able to take Deep Space Nine and would have had to retreat. While Starfleet vessels would no doubt be damaged, it is still possible that they could have gotten reserves in to reinforce the fleet itself and push into Dominion territory, perhaps even destroying the space docks that they originally did in the episode. And I know I've stated it before, but there is no doubt Starfleet would have been in a stronger position here. This was just a bad call. I'll also finish with a thought on the cloaked, self-replicating mines. Quite a few people feel that the cloaking devices on these mines were somehow legal. I still disagree, but that's neither here nor there. I'll go really in depth on this topic when we get to the prophets saving the day, but I'll be honest, I'm not really a fan of the mines. They are literally a deus ex machina that prevents the good guys from losing. Additionally, there are a lot of ways that the Dominion could have beat these mines. This includes ramming random ships into the mines by the dozens, if not hundreds. In theory, there are only so many mines, even if they self-replicate, so if you detonate them all at the same time, then you don't have an issue. And even if we assume that you can't get every mine, send as many ships as you can through the wormhole and some will get through. Also, why not just fire photon torpedoes and detonate them all at a specific time? We know this won't destroy the wormhole, so why not? And if for some reason that fails, then let's use the idea of ramming random ships into the minefield, but let's put innocent civilians on those ships and tell the Federation that they better tell us how to stop these mines or people will die. And let's just assume that for whatever reason you can't get any ships past this minefield, which again is dubious, but let's assume that it's right. Park ships on both sides of the minefield and begin beaming people as well as ordnance from one ship to the other. Sure, you're not going to get any ships past, but you can definitely get a lot of personnel as well as equipment into the Alpha Quadrant. Again, personally, I just find the minefield to not only be ineffective, but honestly, it's magic, no better than the Prophets. We will discuss that when that actually happens though, so I'm gonna put that aside. And I know what this leads into. Ultimately, the question becomes, if I have all of these issues, how would I fix it? It's really easy to break things down, but what would I do to make it better? I'll be honest, right now, I don't know. The writers have painted themselves into a corner here. I'm gonna think about it and probably at a later date come up with a video, though it won't be the next one, don't worry, this is not a 4-part series. I will leave it here though. How would you have done it? Let me know in the comments below.